work expands to fill the time available for its completion. It's called Parkinson's law. Give yourself a week to write a report. It takes a week, every single day of it. Give yourself 2 hours, and somehow it also takes exactly 2 hours. The task doesn't get bigger. Your deadline just gets looser. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us unconsciously set soft deadlines so we have room to procrastinate comfortably. The fix is brutal simplicity. Cut the timeline in half. See what actually needs to happen versus what were you filling the time with. Urgency is a feature, not a bug. So build it in deliberately. Everything takes longer than you expect, even when you account for Hofstadter's law. It's recursive. You build it in buffer time, and you still run over. Software projects, home renovations, learning a new skill, moving to a new country. You think it'll take 3 months, but it is 9. The fix isn't better estimation. Humans are structurally bad at this, and always will be. The fix is building systems that absorb the delay. Modular plans, early milestones, room for fail on the small things without the whole thing collapsing. Plan for being late, build for being early, and never promise a date you actually care about. Never attribute to malice what can be explained by stupidity, or laziness, or distraction, or burnout, or just a bad Tuesday. The principle is called Hanlon's razor. Most people aren't plotting against you. The universe is not set for you to fail. They're barely thinking about you at all. The colleague who didn't reply to your email isn't your enemy. They actually have 200 unread messages and a meeting in 5 minutes. The customer who gave you vague feedback isn't trying to waste your time. They don't know what they want yet. Before you assume someone's your enemy, consider they might just be overwhelmed, underprepared, or having a terrible week. It saves you a lot of unnecessary wars and a lot of misplaced energy. 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. 80% of your revenue come from 20% of your customers. 80% of your problems from 20% of your decisions. And 80% of the value of any meeting comes from the 20% of the conversation. That is the Pareto Principle. This isn't a rough estimate. It shows up everywhere, in every industry, at every scale. The question isn't how to work more hours. The question should be which 20% of your actions actually move the needle, and having the discipline to do only that. Most people know this principle. Almost nobody actually applies it. So start by listing everything you do in a week or in a day. Then ask which 3 things actually matter. In every hierarchy, people rise to their level of incompetence. This is called the Pareto Principle. You're good at your job, so you get promoted into a different job. You're good at that too, another promotion into yet another job, until finally you land somewhere you're not good at. And there you stay. Organizations are full of people who were excellent, exactly 1 level below where they currently sit. The brilliant engineer becomes a very bad manager. The great salesperson becomes a terrible sales director. The lesson isn't to avoid ambition. It's to distinguish between what you're good at and what you actually want to become. Because those 2 things are not always the same. The same applies for hiring people and promoting them, but that's the obvious part. The more options you have, the longer it takes to decide. It's called the Hick's law. Double the choices, the decision time goes up logarithmically, not linearly. This is why great restaurant menus are short, why the best products have 1 button, why the best strategies have 1 priority. Every option you add to a decision costs someone cognitive mental energy, the energy they could spend actually doing something. We think more choice is better. It isn't. More choice is paralysis with extra steps. The best designers, leaders, and product builders understand this intuitively. Simplify ruthlessly. The best decision architecture gives people fewer choices, not more. Steve Jobs built Apple this way. Be like Steve Jobs. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. This principle is called Goodhart's law. You start tracking something to understand it. Then you start optimizing for it. And then the metric detaches completely from the thing it was supposed to represent. Schools teach to test and stop teaching students to think. Companies hit a quarterly revenue number and quietly destroy long-term value doing it. Social media optimizes for engagement, and that discovered that outrage and negative energies and fear drive more clicks than the truth. Metrics are maps. They're not the territory. The moment your team starts gaming the numbers instead of solving the problem, the numbers have failed you. Chase the outcome. Build systems around the outcome. Let the metrics follow. The less you know about something, the more confident you are. This principle is called the Dunning-Kruger Effect. The more you know, the more you realize how much you still don't understand. It's a curve. Beginners peak in confidence in week 2. They think they figured it out. Then reality hits. Complexity reveals itself. Confidence collapses. And the people who push through that collapse, who sit with the discomfort of not knowing, they eventually reach genuine competence. Quieter, more accurate, less loud about it. So the most dangerous people in any room are the ones who just learned something last week and haven't discovered what they don't know yet. If you've never seriously doubted yourself in your field, you probably haven't gone deep enough. The simplest explanation is usually the correct one. Not always, but usually. This is called Occam's razor. Before we build a complex theory with 17 variables, ask if a simpler one can be done with just 3 simple facts. So before you create any elaborate system, ask if a very simplified version produces the same result. We tend to overcomplicate because complexity feels like intelligence. It usually isn't. The smartest people I've met are obsessively simple in how they think and communicate. They make complex things look easy. Not by dumbing them down, but by understanding them deeply enough to strip away everything unnecessary. Complexity is the default. Simplicity is the achievement. Don't remove a fence until you understand why it was built. This principle is called Chesterton's fence. Someone put it there for a reason. Maybe a good one, maybe an outdated one. But if you don't know why it exists, you're not qualified to decide whether it should. This applies to business processes that seem inefficient, to social norms that seem arbitrary, to regulations that seem excessive. Before you disrupt something, understand it first. The most expensive mistakes in business happen when someone smart walks in, sees something that looks stupid, removes it, and discovers 6 months later exactly why it was there. Reform before you demolish. Understand before you optimize. The fence might be protecting something you cannot see yet. Adding people to a late project makes it later. This is called Brooks' Law. It feels wrong. Maybe more hands should mean more speed. It doesn't. New people need onboarding. They ask questions. They make mistakes while they're learning context. And the people who were already on the project, the ones who actually understand what's happening, had to stop and teach them. So the project slows down before it speeds up, and it often never fully recovers. Brooks called this the mythical man-month, the idea that people and time are interchangeable in software. They're not. The fix for a late project isn't more hands, it's fewer moving parts, clearer ownership, honest conversations about what's actually possible, and the willingness to cut scope rather than add it. Why adding one person adds 10 problems? This principle is called Metcalfe's law. There's a formula that every manager should tattoo on their hand before they hire anyone. It's called Metcalfe's law, and it goes like this. Every time you add one person to a team, the number of communication lines doesn't increase by 1, it multiplies. 2 people, 2 connections between them. Simple. 5 people, 10 connections. Manageable. 10 people, 45 connections. 50 people, over 1,200. The same formula, n times n minus 1 divided by 2. Every one of those connections is a potential misunderstanding. A meeting, a status update, a just checking in message that interrupts someone's deep work. This is why small teams ship fast, and big teams write documents about shipping and have meetings about meetings. This is why your startup moved faster with 6 people than your corporation does with 600. It's not motivation. It's not culture. Well, culture to some extent, but it is math at the foundation. Before you scale your team, ask whether you're scaling your communication problem by an order of magnitude. Sometimes the answer to moving faster is not more people. It's fewer, better, with clearer ownership and less to coordinate.